Heyo, Chris, Crowdfunding Roundup. Let's go. Friday. We're going into the weekend. What do you need to know? New crowdfunding from this past week. My thoughts, opinions, and overviews of everything I can talk to you about in as short as time as possible. I don't really have anything for preamble today. You know, check out the Don't Back Anything video from yesterday, though, because I covered all the other stuff that's already come up in April and ended recently. So if you want to be, well, no FUD or no FOMO, go check that out. I think I did 23 games. Not as many as the previous time, 25, but it's fun to do. I was kind of in a mood. That's all I got. Let's go. Let's start up with Ice Unlimited, second edition over on GameFound. Almost $250,000, right? I had no clue what the appeal of this game was going to be when I was talking about it and when I did my review out earlier this week. Actually, you know, better than I thought. And I like it. Ice is back with a brand new edition. Hey, that's actually, I swear, I did not look at that graphic. That's the title of my review. Anyway, because I couldn't do the ice baby sort of comment, you know, like that was just too easy. And a surprising lack of reviews actually on Board Game Geek. There were like 3 reviews at the time of me like putting mine live, which just incredibly low, all things considered. So what do you need to know? It's a tile laying Euro style mechanism game. And they've reduced the levels that you're digging through with a magnetic board of 3 tiles instead of 5. They've reduced the cost of excavating as the main action because you're going to be taking a certain number of actions per turn. They've also freed up free actions, meaning you get as many free actions as you want on a turn-by-turn basis, but you have to take at least 1 or 2 actions that are going to be, well, spending at least 1 to 2 action points because you only have 5 typically on a turn-by-turn basis. You play that over 4 rounds, you go. The big plus is it's actually kind of cool. It's really a unique mechanic. The downside is at the lower player counts especially, it's emphasized that I would argue that going for what you're able to get versus going for what you need to get for the sex collections is the big dichotomy. You go for what's easy, not for necessarily what's in your hand of your set collection, secret objectives or the overarching global objectives from that aspect of things. It's an absolutely beautiful game though. And I can see why people are going to like it. And I would say if you don't have analysis paralysis and you have any interest in this, you like those 2 Venn diagrams overlapping, this is going to be a real good game for you. But like things along the lines of 5 Tribes, with having these about 5 different actions that you can take on a grid-spaced style movement with architects that you can grab, gather, go, camps that you can utilize, and, you know, excavation as the main mechanic of grabbing these tiles, which then become dual use, which is kind of cool as well. That could be the holdup there. Asymmetric guild powers. Again, I have no clue how those hold up. You get 2 extra ones in the expansion box here with the edifices as well, which is basically like extra game variants, as well as an extra guild display, which gives you an extra asymmetric power that you can spend victory points for. And that was my other criticism of my own bias, was I'm not good at games that cause me to spend my own victory points in order to like win, loss, min, max, that style of things. And ooh, I didn't know this. Relics. Did I know about that? I don't know if I did know about that. I don't know. They've got some cool stuff there. Whatever Relics are doing too, you can get that as well. Collector's Edition. It's a very solid game. Very solid game. And you can check out all the stuff here. These are the actions: build, call, move, excavate is the main one. Snow tiles they talk about, the guild powers, all of the relics that you can go along with, and the new guilds, and here's the differences, and here's the how to play in the rule book. If you're an original backer, you can get, you know, the upgraded stuff, and ooh, that's expensive though with 2 expansions, collector's edition. I mean, you have to love it if you're going to deluxify the heck out of this Euro game. Returning backers, ooh, conversion kit. Ooh, it's still $50. Standard box is $65. I don't know if their stuff comes wide to retail. I have not seen or looked at a lot of their stuff from that aspect, so I would be a little bit surprised if it did, and definitely the Deluxified edition doesn't. So, I mean, it's a lot of money for what it is. And again, you have to have that playtime right and the group dynamic dependent going to fit with you, because otherwise I could see it being a little bit along those lines. So, hey, whoa, there's me. Anyway, I never know if people are going to put my videos in the campaign page. So that's kind of cool. I wasn't expecting that, to be frank with you. This is my first time looking at the page, as you can tell. And shipping, whatever. You know what shipping's going to be. It's not going to be a make it or break it. So anyway, This Way Games. I've been really impressed by their stuff. It's very thinky. It gives a superficial like gimmick on both of this and Founders, but I've been overly impressed with how thinky they are if you're looking for something a little bit deeper. But it's expensive. It's expensive. So Deluxified, right? On crowdfunding. Take that for what it is. The other biggest one for me on crowdfunding, I talked about it in the video earlier this week on my wish list, right? Regicide Legacy. Here it is. $84,000. And you're gonna go, oh, Chris, that can't be that good. It's only got $84,000. I don't know why I'm doing a mix of Kermit the Frog and Yoda right now, but that's what we went to as the voice impression this time. And That's because it's a legacy game on crowdfunding, folks. And legacy game is a whole nother issue that I've talked about previously, that I talked about, you know, as recently as one of the more recent news videos, saying you just can't show the legacy stuff that makes it really, really freaking good and cool, because then you're going to spoil it. Or how much can you spoil to entice people, but also not then lose the surprise of things, right? That's like movie trailers that show you all the cool clips, and then you actually watch the movie and you're like, well, those were all the good bits. Where are all the rest of the good bits? And no, they showed you all the good bits to get you enticed, but then when you actually watch the 2-hour movie, the 2-minute trailer was all of the good stuff that you need to see in the first place, right? And this is just falling into that trap on crowdfunding. I love it. This is a game that's going to end up in my collection eventually, period. 12 unique missions. The first mission is accomplished on the playthrough. And I also realized on the playthrough of the first mission on the video on this page that they put out, that I have been playing a rule wrong the whole time, right? You've never had one of those though, right? You've never been doing that in one of your games. Anyway, Badgers from Mars. And the other reason this is impressive though, Regicide is like a $10 game. And you just made $84,000 off of it, folks. Freaking amazing. That's why it's amazing. And plus, I like their little images playing off all the pop culture references on here. I thought that was very, very amusing. If you're not familiar with Regicide, essentially you have your 4 suits and they all have 4 powers. Like, you know, they've changed them all to represent kind of closer to what they are here, but you know, your hearts, spades, clubs, and diamonds, right? So then you have like the symbols here and they do like double damage, and then they heal cards from your discard pile, and then they reduce the damage, and then they allow you to draw more cards. So this game, essentially what you do is you flip up the face cards from a deck and they deal damage back to you, and you have to deal a certain number of damage to them based on which face up the card they are, but then they have their own symbols that match the symbols that are on your cards, and so they're immune to that power or that ability if you play that one on that turn. But then certain cards like this one will do double damage against them, and if you actually hit them for exactly the right amount of damage, then they get put on the top of your draw deck and you can utilize them for yourself. Well, that's Regicide. What's Regicide Legacy? What's different? No idea. All they say is 12 missions, and if you scroll down here far enough, you get to know a little bit of this central mat that's going to be adaptable, player helper cards, individual player mats, tracker tokens, because you can track like the health and the damage on the side of the mat now, so in case you're not keeping track of things, right? See, they're going with memes all over the place. But their quotes are all from the original game. So you can quote me, Badgers from Mars. I love this freaking game, right? 12 missions, boxes, enemies to defeat, changing rules of the engagement as you go along. And that's what we know. And that's all we kind of know right now. Again, meeting the cards, meeting the party. Yeah, the aces allow you to be played together. There's a combo system. If the total of cards that are equal number are less than 10, then you can play and get multiple different effects going at the same time. So there's the small nuances to it. The how to play right there, that's the video I was talking about. It tells you a little bit down here if we actually get to what a legacy game is, right? New stickers, upgrade stickers, power-ups, custom deck by the end of the campaign. It's going to be an eternal mode. There's going to be a reset box. And there's going to be all of these things. 100 new enemies. That's insane. I don't know how they're going to do that. Relics sounds awesome. New allies. Again, like, are you going to sub cards in? Are you going to swap cards out? Are you going to customize your deck that way? I'm assuming. Mercenaries, mechanics for each mission. Sleeves, don't need them, but I'll take them. And stickers to go along. I don't know. Badgers from Mars. I want your game. I'm just not sure I want it on crowdfunding. And that's okay. Maybe I'll just trade for it in the future. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, 65 bucks, right? So that's not bad. It's more than I was expecting, but also less than what it could have been. So either way, boom. I love it. I love it. It's going to end my collection. Just not sure I'm going to crowdfund it. So we'll see. And Vicious Gardens from I believe, a website, webcomic, web following of some sorts. This has $100,000 at this point, and this is a lighter style. Basically, draw and then set collect and then harvest. And I mean harvesting in the sense that you're going to be placing down one of 4 different types of cards in front of you, utilizing either the flowers, the produce, the fruit, or the herbs, and then grabbing them back up to harvest to accomplish victory point scoring conditions, cards, or specialists that are going to change either your dynamic in front of you or the dynamics of your opponents, because this card game has potential to take that in terms of how you're going to be like putting pesticides or even other types of cards that are going to affect other creatures, other groups, or other individual sets on other people's garden tableaus, if you will. The art is absolutely fantastic aesthetic, and I kind of screwed that up. I said festhetic in the outtake section, so you can check that out at the end of the video, but it's just kind of cool. And the game goes until you get like 3 victory cards into your garden. And again, the victory card gathering triggers the end game, not the actual scoring of the points. And they run you through all of these different cards because it gives you a little bit of battle line if you're familiar with that Knizia game. Because what you're doing is you have 2 different decks that you can draw from, either one of those 4 suits that I just mentioned, or from the specialist deck. And you can only have up to 5 cards at the end of your turn in your hand. And so you're going to have a combination of both of those and how you want to play them, and the combination of back and forth of which ones and how many of each is going to be what you're doing. And they offer you 2 different expansions down here, as well as some exclusives. But the exclusive, thankfully, is just a sleeve. So you can pass on the sleeve, but you need to know whether or not these expansions are going to be good for you. And the first one is just going to be adding wildlife into the specialist deck, which are going to give perks and or inhibit your neighbors. Like I said, right, this is going to be very take that. And then fancy plants, secret goal cards to provide bonus points at the end of the season. So I would argue that at least that second expansion might just be a have it in there no matter what. And they're offering them in basically in sets together right here. 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. 3 and 4 being Noxious Weeds, a new plant category worth negative points, but you can harvest them and steal victory cards. And then Cruel Summers adds a little mini board to it and adds a group event that you have the potential to either deal with or lose points with. So yeah, right, $36 for the base game. Again, not bad priced. A little more expensive because it's on the crowdfunding aspect and you're getting the exclusive sleeve, so you're paying for a little premium there. And then, actually, you're not even paying for the premium there. You're actually paying $6 extra for the premium on top of that. And then $6 more for that for the 2 expansions. And then another, well, $8? $8 for the second set of expansions and the sleeve? Okay, whatever. I mean, you can bundle it however you want, though. But metal coin it, too, if you're really feeling excited. This is one of those where I'd go, you're probably going to like 1 or 2 of the expansions a lot, and you might not like 1 or 2 of them, especially 3 and 4 don't seem to be as much appealing. But this is going to be a heavy take that game. I'd love to try this because I feel like it would be a nice family weight game, especially with my kids. We were just playing Isle of Night today, the new one from Red Raven Games. So there you go. Everything you need to know about Vicious Gardens. Brutally fun gardening game. Children of Morta, again, talked about this one earlier in the week, $64,000, again, doing almost 200% of their goal, and it's a lot like Cores of Discovery, where the sense that it's not going to be super over-deluxified, and it's going to be more streamlined in how the gameplay plays, and this is a 1 to 4 player rogue-like game that you are going to be going through, sort of Slay the Spire-esque, with a combination of Dice Throne meets Quacks of Quedlinburg, as I said in my review, because what you have essentially is an individual, unique, asymmetric player board with Dice Throne-esque powers, squares on the board, and what you're doing with Quacks style of things is you're drawing chits, 5 each turn, each round, from a bag, and then you're laying them over these asymmetric character powers in order to utilize them in the first place. And there's another currency called Focus, and then you also have a common currency, which I actually really kind of like, actually. It's probably my favorite part of the game as a whole, is the Rage mechanic. It's another currency, but it's a combined cumulative currency between all the players, and so that allows you to summon extra dice to do attacks, because the attacks of the enemies that are going to be allocated to you on a turn-by-turn basis, on a round-by-round basis, just like the Spire, they get in front of your individual character, then you have the ability to attack them, and hiring these 3 separate tiers of dice in order to do damage to defeat them, to gather experience, to gather coins, as you go from a scenario-based system on along a map in a spiral-bound book, and you get to the end, and the more you fight, obviously, the more you gain, and then the more you gain, then you fight the AI boss enemy, which is a big step up, and it's sort of a little bit of Slay the Spire in the sense that you might die, and you might fail, and you might have to go back and upgrade and go again. And the stretch goals here are going to be a little bit of content, but a lot of deluxification. As you can see, the upgraded tokens are going to be one of the main highlights. They run you through the 4 main characters, I think, 5 maybe. I think there were 6 in total. They said that there 2 are going to be unlockable. And then they give you a little bit of overview, as well as including the 2 different modes of gameplay, permanent upgrades that are going to be available as talents to your characters that you can buy as well, and the story mode versus the family mode, which is essentially like a one-off, if you will. It gives you separate scenarios that you can set up there. The shared resources, the support system that I didn't talk about, because again, you have support cards that will be set out between each of the character cards. So like between player 1 and 2 will have one, between 2 or 3, between 3 and 4. But if you do enough missions together, it eventually gets upgraded and unlocked to a higher level of support. So adaptable, playable, there you go. 61 Canadian dollars, 45 US dollars if you just want the regular edition here. And if you're going to deluxify it, you get all the other upgraded stuff here in the Goddess's Pledge for 85. So again, not a huge fan of always the huge deluxifications. It's definitely going to be a nice aesthetic. I just ran across that tonight in one of the latest releases from Bitewings, Spectral. The chips on there were very, very nice. But do you need all this stuff? Do you need the super upgraded stuff for $115 when you can get the base game for $45? Because you're not seeing as much of the gameplay at those higher level differences as well, which is kind of cool. But you're going to get that through the stretch goals, which is nice. They're not going to gameplay lock it, and the only question then is where or how do you want to back them? Slay together, stay together, as the quote is there from One Stop Co-op Shop, or the actual quote from Children of Morta as a whole. Tabletop Simulator, Tabletopia, all right there. And I think, again, woo, 2 in a row videos right there. There's mine. Go look at the other people's videos, though. They're all smarter than I am. They all put up better content. You know that. I don't know why you're watching me, because I like talking about games. That's why. But Room Is Games, they're killing it. Again, as a new publisher over on crowdfunding here, with a video game port. And that is Children of Morta. Speaking of small indie games, now we're going to a 1 to 4 player cooperative game, Dutch Resistance, Orange Shell Overcome, with a new expansion offering, I believe, 2 new scenarios for this 1 to 4 player cooperative game set in World War II in the Netherlands, as you're the Dutch resistance going up against the Nazis. And this takes a new cooperative spin of a pick up and deliver as well as resource management style in both a 2-phase system, a daytime and a nighttime phase. You're going to be taking actions during the daytime phase, up to 6 unique actions, including an asymmetric action based on your own character, or the amount of action points depending on the morale of your character in the first place. You're going to be moving around from place to place, accomplishing what you're trying to do in order to, well, resist the occupation. But then at the end of your, well, good phase, you also have to play a bad card, which is going to then change the environment, move things around, get more troops against you, something along those lines. And then once everyone has done that, then you go to the nighttime phase, which then they move around the board and they try and catch you. The bad phase, right? The enemy phase. Morale 0, alibi 0, or you run out of cards to draw, sort of a pandemic style, is how you may lose the game if you don't achieve your objectives beforehand. It's a little bit heavier than that as a whole, but it's a little bit just heavier pandemic style of that action type system if you're used to that. And now, what are you getting with the expansion in this? And it lays it out right here. If we scroll down to the expansion, you're getting 2 extra scenarios, 1 extra character card for each character in the game. Again, giving some more asymmetry, extra cards for each of the decks, a new location, a new type of card, and, well, apparently a bunch of modules. This is one that, you know, until it just recently was announced it was coming out to crowdfunding, it really was never my radar. But you know me, I love hard cooperative games, and so it's on my radar now. Do you want to deluxify it with meeples like this? I just found out with my faraway pre-order from Pandasaurus. By the way, don't ever pre-order things from retail, right? Like, I always get burned. You know what? Don't listen to me. Pre-order a bunch from retail. Don't listen to me. But I had screen printed meeples, and they were doing the exclusive for Pandasaurus, and I was like, oh, okay, I did that. And now they're totally superfluous, and I don't need them whatsoever. And that review will be coming out soon. You don't need to know about that, though. But again, what are you going to get? And again, you can't really get this widely available, I don't think. So 35 euros, or about just under $40 for the US version right now. English version, US version, idiot. English version or the Dutch version. Let's not kid ourselves. The Dutch are the important part of this. Or if you want both of them together, you can get it for 65 bucks. Again, more than I would have expected, but again, it's definitely on my radar and it's now on my want list to try. So I'm really intrigued by it, and I think they're doing something cool here. And I like the way that the Dutch are going, because I am 100% Dutch, actually, truth be told, right? 100% heritage Dutch. The odds of that nowadays, right? Very low. But that's kind of why I want to see it and talk about it. And I don't speak Dutch, though. My grandmother spoke Dutch. They never taught any of my parents, though. So that's all I got. Because I'm covering all the CCGs. Now we're going to the Warlord. Another one will launch this week. Saga of the Storm CCG. And now this one, you know, if you're old like me, right? Old like me. I'm just making stuff up now. $300,000. But this one is actually a remake of one from 2001 that AEG actually axed, they say, published originally by them. And it's a combination of like tabletop role-playing game as well as a D20 combat use with sort of a Magic the Gathering style as a whole. And essentially what you've got is you've got 6 different asymmetric factions, each with 4 different classes within each system that you are going up head-to-head against, trying to knock out your opponent like you would with all of these games, right? And they show you the new graphic design here. They talk about backwards compatibility with over 4,600 cards in the previous rotation, as well as a multiplayer alliance and a non-rotating ancient format. Again, things that you're familiar with in terms of drafting or constructed styles with the Magic the Gatherings, a la all of those formats. And so they're saying they're revamping it, they're coming out with stuff, and they run over the different modes that you can play there, and new artists, new cards, and everything else to go along with that, including the previously hard to obtain promos, the booster boxes here, as well as 50 card pre-constructed decks with leaders that go along with them. But then also, as they say here, a box of greed. Isn't that right? Tongue-in-cheek, or hitting the nail right on the head there. Individual cards, beautiful storage box, and an exclusive little promo to go along with it. So the only question is, if this card game died 2001, does it really stand up to test of time with a lot of the newer, more innovative stuff that's out there, or is it not going to stand up to test of time? Is it one of those that's dead and dead for a reason, or is it actually going to maybe come back and be tried and true? If you want to go read the rules, though, it's a 50-page rulebook that they link to, although you can watch a little bit of the video content here of the gameplay and the little bit of learn to play. But again, it's a little bit of heavier rulebook overall, and I'm not going to go to that. But if you want to go CCG style, well, we're covering it again. Warlord, Saga, the Storm. So this looks like it just launched as well. This is a really cool concept. I'm actually really intrigued by this one now, because especially Tom Vassell quoting on there, that's a really, really fun game. He wants to keep on playing it. Lightspeed, Arena. Smart tabletop battles. And the only thing that some of you guys are going to look at and go, I don't like this already, because you're using an app. It's you're using a picture to basically simulate what's going to actually happen, because all you're doing is laying down these cards onto the table as one of these 4 players, because you're each going to have individual cards that are going to be basically laying down in real time. I think it says 8 different rounds of 10 seconds countdown. You just put these cards down and they all point in different directions. They all point at each other. And then you take a picture of it at the end, and then it simulates who goes what where, because there's initiatives in the form of numbers on the cards in the first place that will say, okay, basically who fires first and who's left after, you know, that style of things. But then you're going to have asteroids out there, you're going to have bases out there, you're going to have things out there, you're going to affect things, gathering resources, doing damage, different variable laser strengths. Obviously, your higher damage lasers may go later, and so you're going to have green, yellow, and red, and so green does 1 damage, yellow does 2, and red does 3. Then you have other things like this that are going to be going alongside of it, right? Like sponsored asteroids. You want your base to be remaining there. You get extra victory points. Nova Snipe, Drift Cola. Again, all of these things are going to be adaptable, and faction powers to go along with it as well. So that's the game in a nutshell. That's it. That's the whole game. And again, right? Like, best real-time game ever played. I like quotes like that. Terrific fun. I want to play it over and over. So what is it actually going to cost you? Well, you know, if you want to get it with all the exclusives, it's going to cost you 27 bucks. So if you want Rising Star, $40 here, and gets you an expansion of your choice. Glyphon? I thought that said Griffin. I'm like, why would you have a Griffin in a space game? Anyway, Glyphon. It's getting to me. Glyphon or Black Hole, 1 to 5 players. So let's see. Ace will get you the Glyphon and the Black Hole expansion. What are the expansions? I didn't actually see them when I was looking down here. Solo mode, reviews, videos. Again, kind of cool. Kind of came out of nowhere for me, but apparently other people knew about it a ton. So Black Hole spaceships, Black Hole base, so a 5th player expansion, essentially, with a new asymmetric ability. And yeah, another one there too. So, okay, there you go. It's kind of freaking sweet, actually. This page is a lot bigger than I thought. So a bunch of add-ons here if you want some of the other stuff, or you just want a la mode it. And why back now? And again, bigger people, better opinions, and all the stuff you need to know, with a few stretch goals, adding a little bit of stuff to the app, essentially, with maybe just a little bit of content as well. So, well, color me Dark Horse surprise this week, Lightspeed Arena. We'll just stay with small hit indie games for 400, Alex. And this is Nanga Parbat. This is an expansion Animal Powers, if you're not familiar with the Dr. Finn game in the first place. And essentially what you're doing is you're going a 2-player game, and you're slowly laying out camps, moving your hiker via the use of the guide or the Sherpa on the mountain in order to get the most victory points at the end by having the most camps, having the most animals, and set collect in a different way. Because essentially what you're doing is you have 3 phases of this potentially 4-phase turn-by-turn game. And what you're doing first is you are grabbing an animal in the section that the Sherpa is in. And you can see on this little map there are 6 different sections. Then the animal that you grab, you push one of your hikers down in that area. Then based on what number that is, then you move it to that specific region, because again, you have 6 spots in these 6 different regions, and so you move it there. And then you can spend your animals in a set collection way or placing camps down in order to score points, and you do that a total of 5 times throughout the game in order to win. The new animal expansion here is going to give you new combo abilities that you can use not only with individual animals, but now in combinations of your 2 or 3 to get a completely unique asymmetric animal power in the first place in order to adapt, mitigate, or strategize better than your opponent. That's what you need to know, right? You can get a little bit of a bonus power card for every $2,000 pledged, and they're going to offer some promos as well. So shipping, packaging in the US, it's $1. That's all you need to know, right? Get the pack collection for $10 plus your shipping of $1, and or just super deal for $15. Get everything along with it. So there you go. Everything you need. Dr. Finn's putting out small indie publishing games. Cool. Killing it. You know? Yeah. $10, man. $2,500. It's a good amount of games. Next up, staying with the indie theme here, Dino Dynasty. Almost 200% funded at $17,000 right now from Ion Game Design. And this takes a little bit of a Euro spin with 4 different actions and mechanisms that you're going to be taking on this slow grid-based system that you are drawing, developing, exploring to create biomes of the different elements that are going to be available to you. But you're also going to have dinosaurs that you're going to be min-maxing in terms of their aspects, their morphs, or their characteristics that are going to allow them to adapt and survive as a whole. There are going to be 12 different challenge cards drawn on a game basis in a scenario-based system that are going to have events also specified to happen, and you're going to have one-time events as you're playing these cards and exploring new areas in this well-defined area, depending on how big or how long you want the game to be. As you play these cards out to the air, you're creating the biomes. You are potentially then gathering or creating nests or herds of these dinosaurs in order to give points or in order to complete those said challenges in the first place. There is a legendary aspect of things that you can evolve your dinosaurs continually across multiple games as well. Gameplay is right there. There's about a 30-page rulebook linked down below, and they run through the actions as you're doing this, right? Moving the herds, spreading the dinosaurs around, laying eggs, competing in a rivals biome of a herd or conquest, as well as evolving your dinosaurs in these action trait categories where one gets stronger, one gets weaker, and rinse and repeat. Campaign game, dinosaurs to go along with it, scenarios, end game, victory points, the biome cards that I mentioned of the 6 different types, and the borders that we just talked about in order to, shape it as you need to in the first place. That's it. Everything you need to know. You want a book, you want an expansion with 4 new dynasties or 3 dinos in each, as well as morpho tokens to allow better adaptability. You can do that. And it's going to be about, well, $55 right now without any expansions. If you want the expansions as well as the dynasties here, it's going to be well over $100 if you want to get it all. So rules, tabletop simulator, and a couple videos down here as a whole. So again, for actually, you know what, I wouldn't mind a little bit more information on the page. $17,000 is still good. They're funded. They're going someplace. Check them out. Dino Dynasty. It's almost a tongue twister onomatopoeia there. Next up, we're talking about Toothead, and this is a head-to-head, straight up take that style card game where you're basically attacking each other, trying to be the last one standing, taking 2 actions per hand per round when you start off with your 5 cards to begin with. And like it says here, right? Sneaky moves, great rivalry, players a target. It's an auto-elimination system. Lots of fighting that you're going to have in this head-to-head, dice-driven, combat-style game. So not only are you going to be fighting each other, you're going to be trying to be the last one standing in terms of owning your own meat because you're trying to actually eat the meat, or you have to discard it at the beginning of every turn if you can do so. You have 8 different asymmetric characters here that you're going to be choosing to begin the game, and 165 cards of weapons, tricks, specials, and hit cards along with the islands that you're going to be having available at your disposal. A 9-page rulebook here is going to give you a little bit of the flow of things, although the phases of the game are a little bit different. As it says here, you can kind of see the eating, digestion, appetite, nibbling, or hunger phases. And each of them has like 2 different actions that you get in each of those phases, but like only during certain ones. It seems like digestion, you can't attack. And then the appetite, you get the island cards. And then the nibbling phase, you have bonus opportunities to exchange cards. And then the hunger phase, again, you roll to see what people get additionally based on a die. And that's probably the best summary I can give you. The rulebook doesn't really give me a good sense of the flow. And if you want character slices in terms of a mini expansion here or trash boosters, well, you can do that as well. So, I mean, it's a very take that game. Does this appeal to you? The light style card game, Kickstarter exclusives with stretch goals to go along with it for about $45. Mini expansions are going to raise it up to about $60, $65. What are we sitting here? I forget the conversion rate. $60, I was right. And then a little bit more of everything here with a Heroes extension to get even more. So more and more and more. A couple videos, a couple expansions, a couple extra pieces of content there. Again, I don't get a good sense of it, but I mean, it clearly has an audience and it has appeal for a heavy take that style of game. $13,000 is nothing to sneeze at. So, Kickstarter, stop doing that. There you go, Toothead. Speaking of indie games that are almost funded, we got a couple here in a row. This is Spearsmen II. This is an upgraded, deluxeified version in terms of a wooden board, and they spend the first half of the page talking about that. But if you're interested in how the game actually plays from an abstract style game, you have 2 different sets of, they call coins, and you lay out in a snake draft style of situation the coins to occupy all of the spaces on the board in the first place. And then you just take turns moving them around from one space to another as they're all marked on here. And once you get 3 in a row, horizontally or vertically, then you're allowed to eliminate one of the other player's coins. And then first one to eliminate all but 2, because then obviously you only have 2, you can't make a line of 3, then you win. Again, board, 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 bag, 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 how to play, there you go. They run you through like all of the positions here as you move them around and manipulate them, trying to get 3. You can only move like 1 space up, down, left, or right in order to manipulate that. And so the laying of the pieces in the game in the first place before you even play is a game within a game, a meta within a meta. That's the game in a nutshell. It's just going to be expensive for what it is. So if you're interested in that, well, you can pay upwards of probably $70 to, whoa, $270. 11 people are doing that. That's how we're almost funded. I mean, I think it's cool. I'd love to try it out. I love abstracts. I talk about this on the channel all the time. And so I just wonder that this is too much of a drafting placement style situation, because if you're just better positioning in the first place, you're going to have a better win condition. And I wonder too, if you get 1 or 2 pieces ahead, is there going to be any catch up? Is there any balance to that? Like we see with other abstracts like Yinch, for example, where there is that balance to prevent runaway leaders, even if you are that much better than your opponent. Anyway, it's a cool product. I like to look at it, though. It's probably too expensive for me right now, though. But thought I'd talk about it and show you it. Spearsmen II. Again, small indie, almost funded here. Conclave, a strategy game. I'll be honest, I don't quite get the game flow as you're playing this. And what they say, essentially, is you're going to be going head-to-head, trying to get the most resources based on points, 250, 240 unique illustrations, and a medieval sort of theme. How you're playing, though, is a little bit different. You have the setup that you're going to be going through, and they run you through the area there. They run you through the ability points here. They run you through a lot of this, but it doesn't actually give you some of what the actions or the ability points necessarily do totally effectively, because it runs you through the gifts here of saying, reveal phase. Take one card from the resource deck, place it face up. Then the event phase. You have one event that's going to overarchingly affect that phase, that round of things. Plotting, you place any number of resource cards down into the strife area, and then you can flip up or flip down the other one that you already revealed. Reveal all of them. Highest score wins. In the event round, and then all those cards are put in the discard pile. You draw back up and place into your hand, and then the end of the game once somebody gets 15 points. Right? Does that make sense? I mean, like, I feel like we're skipping over a lot of stuff, especially when, again, I showed you this card here up at the top that had a bunch of like icons and a bunch of points on it, and there must be some combo system. There must be additional ways of scoring, because I mean, I just mean 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So event cards are going to be obviously hugely dynamic. The character cards as well, the ability cards. So I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of what it's actually doing flow-wise. Omen cards, more event cards here with expansions. Another expansion here with special characters. Again, like, I just want some of that more on the table. It seems intriguing. It seems like a lighter style, almost battle line-esque, referring to that now twice in one video, but that's what I'm going to compare it to. I just don't know the dynamic as a whole. So you get the early bird art prints here if you really want to spend a ton of money. But again, it's one of those I'd love to maybe try at some point, but I'm not sure, okay, how unique is it, right? Again, here, talents, icons, ability points, class, does all that stuff matter? Like, it must, because it says some of this stuff is awarded based on this. Version, number of players, character quote, I mean, like clans, like all that stuff. It seems interesting. Art to Key Studios, what is this actually going to be due or backing? So a year for cards. It's a lot of art though. So, I mean, we'll see. It's going to fund. It's going to fund probably by the time you guys are watching this almost. So give it a look-see. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Then let's talk about Scrapbots here. Almost funded again. Only 81 backers with this one though, but still at $3,000 as a bot battling deck builder. And again, like, there just needs to be a little bit more on the page. And I think that's where it's sort of suffering, is because there's like a how to play video, but there's no actual like, okay, what is this actually doing? How are the combos going? What makes these cards unique? How are you going to be doing something different as a deck building side of things? You're manufacturing and then dealing with malfunctions that go along the way. You're going to have Scrapbots as well as gadgets that you're going to be basically utilizing to attack your opponent, using those energies to convert those to attacks, as well as buying new bots and dealing with the overdrive malfunctions or other malfunctions that are going along with it, right? Here's a couple of videos, including how to play, $25, $50 if you want a couple of play mats, and you can check it out online here with Tabletop Simulator and Screen Top. But again, no rule book at the time of me filming this. And again, it'd just be nice to have something besides just a video of how to play. I want to see like something more on the page. Useful, but again, like just on this first glance, needs a little bit more. So I can see why the appeal is there, especially if you're a deck building fan and you like this theme. But I can also see why it's not necessarily getting as much as it could otherwise. So we'll kind of see where it goes, but that's Scrapbots. Potion Crafter, roll and write. What do you need to know? It says Magic Cat Snacks. That's why we're talking about it, folks. I'm talking about Magic Cat Snacks on my board game channel. You're a master of alchemy. You're rolling and writing in ingredients into these empty potion vases, whatever you want to call them, in a system that you're very familiar with, right? Like roll 3 dice, use 2 of them to create ingredients based off of what side they are. Mix, match, combine them together, get better ingredients, brew the potions that you need to according to the enchanted parchment goal card. That's it. That's all you need to know. They're showing some of their other ones, are add-ons, all in digital files here as well. The previous games of rolling trains and dicey roads and explorers. So all that fun stuff, I just wanted to say that on my board game channel. So there you go. Then we're going to hop over and go to Eye of Zamrock here on GameFound. And these next couple are going to be on GameFound because this is a competitive fantasy strategy adventure, city building resource management. Basically, you're building like these crystal towers before the demon lord comes out of the portal. And if you don't build it by a certain round, each portion of it, then you lose. But then also there's like medals you earn. And then, you know, the person who gets the most medals at the end really wins. but you can also go maybe PvP later on in the other mode of the game as a whole. It says 1 hour per player right there, folks, with 6 players. Can you imagine that? Taking one of the 5 different actions that they offer to you with this. And again, this is a big statement, one of the greatest complex games that ever existed. I don't really see it off the top of my head, right? It tells you everything I said right there. It runs you through all of the stuff that you're going to see, but it doesn't tell you anything. Oh, we finally get to gameplay. 3 levels, Crystal Tower, building, get the most medals, asymmetry, replayability. Again, have you seen anything gameplay-wise of anything unique? We finally get down here after the lore to a little bit of the preview content, because that's really, well, we're almost there. I'm sorry. We're going to be going through the actions here, actually. You have the races, the dragons, the hoary constructs. So again, like, gives you a little bit maybe of their asymmetry influences, but you still haven't seen any mechanics and how all of these things are working together, right? So finally, if I scroll down far enough here, we get to the reviews and previews, which they're all just paid previews. So you're not going to have any information there whatsoever to help you make a decision in any sense. And that's it. So the fact that this has $20,000 already is really impressive, because there's not much information on this whatsoever, and I feel like it's being miniature driven. So check it out. Tell me if I'm wrong, and tell me what you're seeing on this one and if this attracts you. Then we're going to go to another even more mystifying one without our king over on GameFound here. $8,000. It's 84% funded of its $10,000 goal. It's kind of like a multi-phase, just take your pieces and move across and try and conquer sort of style of things, because you're having units and they each get to move and take one action of the 5 different actions that they have. And they say that everything is ready to go and you'll have it by July somehow. That seems really, really ambitious, especially if you're going to throw in little miniatures here as a whole. But this is $100. $100 right now. And the interesting, and or I guess I should say curious, and I guess scary thing down here is at the bottom, right? They say this is a stable pledge, right? Full refund to backers if the change in price estimates is bigger than 10%. Okay, that makes sense. Backers will be granted 100% refund upon request made within 14 days of the change announcement. Okay, that's still, yep, good. But then below this, 100% refundable until the campaign ends. After the campaign, though, nope. Not even a chance of cancellation. So that's, you know, that's not a red flag, but that's just kind of weird for me, especially if I haven't heard of this company before. And you know, it's their only project. So, I mean, I know that you don't want people to cancel and you don't want to affect the numbers, but I mean, you have 60 people right now pledging for that. So that's a hard manufacturing issue to deal with regardless. So again, I just wonder with some of these games, especially from new designers, they're like, you know, this one needs to be the way we're thinking of it. And that's the disclaimer I think they put at the top of this one, right? Just going back to Eye of Zamrock here for a second. The best version of this game. Folks, every game doesn't need to have miniatures or deluxeifications. You could have a great game without that crap. I say that as someone who enjoys that crap sometimes. But you don't need to have it all. If the core gameplay is outstanding, guess what? Make a 2nd edition, make a 3rd edition, and add it then, once it's proven. But I just, all this, you know, we gotta have this, we gotta have this, we gotta have this. I mean, just reflected on these campaign pages more than anything else. And GameFound is even worse than Kickstarter with it in general, right? When you look at the left side here, why back? Why this game? Inside the box, rewards, stretch goals, add-ons, then gameplay. Nope, just kidding. You get the generalized summary overview, then you get the lore, then you get 2 preview videos, and that's it. Like I talked about last week, crowdfunding is just going that way, and I feel like the crowdfunding websites are encouraging them to go that way because that's how they get more money, which is more than how they get more money. And no FUD zone, right? No fear, uncertainty, or doubt. You can't have anything on your page to reflect that. Take that for what you will. Last up here, Wordweaver Adventures. Again, $7,900 of, I don't know, a weird co-op word building game. It plays 15 to 60 minutes if you want it to. $25 or $35. And this is the game setup. These are the boards. You visit the boards to get the letters, I think. Your adventurers give you abilities to use. And that's kind of all I know. That's it. That's all I understand from what's on the page here. So I'm not really sure how this is played whatsoever, right? No clue. But it's enticing enough to people that they're spending $8,000. So give it a hard look-see and make sure that you know what's going on better than I do, I guess is what I'll say. There you go. 2 more quick ones here at the end and we'll be done. And Shackleton Series. It's a escape room board game with a historical theme. What do you need to know? Why would you get it on crowdfunding? 6-episode box set depiction of a puzzle system that you can see here. That's what you're getting, right? Escape room with a historical theme. I'm not going to go into it, but you can figure it out, whatever you want to do, and just see if you're this sort of thing. And these things do well, almost ubiquitously across the board. So I'm just going to leave it at that, because you can look out those reviews or some overviews if you really want to and see what it's going to get you. So there you go. Quick summary there, and we're done. And then last but not least, Fun Guys. Well, this is $8,900 of $10,000 raised. Essentially, it's sort of a little bit of just Magic the Gathering with fungus-based approach, right? And you have the essential cards in your hand that you're playing, anywhere from like 5 to 7 cards, I forget what it is, in your hand that you're starting with. And then you have a certain number of lives, basically hit points, that you end up with. And you summon these mushroom-based creatures to attack your enemies. And sometimes they'll have a discard value, sometimes they'll have a sacrifice value. And then obviously, like with Magic, you can't attack on the time you summon unless they have like a blitz effect. And you can get 2 expansions to go along with it here. The mythological, little wordplay, punning there, if you will, and space oddities there to go along with it. 4 different types of cards that you're going to be drawing. Shrooms, which are your attackers, equipments, terrain that's going to affect things, and then magic cards. So again, just like you would expect with just a sort of mushroom theme as a whole. You want 1 expansion, 30 euros. You want 2 expansions, 37 euros. And if you want a bag to go along with it, you can do that too, right? Freaking great. There you go. Fun Guides, stretch goals, little everything else, and you'll get it sometime maybe by the end of 2024. That's all I got. Peace out, man. There you go. Crowdfunding roundup this week. By the way, if you ever thought about this video, have you ever thought about this video? Like, most of these projects go live on Tuesday. Some don't even go live until Wednesday nowadays. So if you think about it just from a logistical standpoint, right? Like full-time job, then trying to deal with the kid stuff, and then trying to do this. So at the earliest, most weeks, I'm looking at this Tuesday night, because again, like nothing launches on Mondays hardly at all anymore, right? Nothing launches on Fridays, which is nice because I don't worry about missing stuff on the weekend after this video goes live. But then I was just thinking about this today, like the majority of this is Wednesday night. And to be frank with you, sometimes Wednesday night doesn't happen. So then this is Thursday night for Friday. Oh boy, rule book, reading, summarizing, spitting out, all back with editing on top of that. Ooh, some weeks are more of a crunch than others. That's all I got though. It's a great freaking week. Playing some stuff, gonna film some reviews this weekend, and we're gonna see where things go. Gotta film the May look backs too. I gotta finish that. I did 1 already. We got 2 more on the horizon, as well as the May retail. I don't have a lot on my May retail list right now, so we'll see. Let me know what you think. Let me know what's on your radar for May retail down below. Because, yeah. Freaking feeling good. That's all I got. Have a great day. Have a great time. Whatever you're doing this weekend. Only 1 soccer game. I got nothing else. No family updates. Nothing else. I got plenty of ramble. I'll save it for elsewhere. Thanks for watching. Peace out. I mean, yeah, the art is absolutely fantastic. I actually